أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والحمد لله الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبو القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام. سلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. This evening we are commemorating and honoring Hazrat Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh. It is a night which in our custom is the night reserved for Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. Although the entire event of Ashura took place in the plains of Ashura on the day of Ashura, 10th of Muharram, 61 after Hijrah. We remember today one who has been given many titles, who has been known as Abbas as his name, who is known to some as Nasir of Hussein, who is known to some as Alamdar. He is known as the Qamar of Banu Hashim, the moon of the Hashimites. He is known as Babul Hawa'ij, the door of the fulfillment of desires, the name that he shares, or the title that he shares with the seventh Imam alayhi salam. Today we honor and we discuss very briefly about Abu al-Fadl Abbas and the gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Ali ibn Abi Talib. When we look at the life of Abu al-Fadl Abbas alayhi salatu wassalam, we need to see his birth, we need to see before his birth to be able to see what that culminates into on the day of Ashura. Amir al-Mu'mineen is preparing himself. Amir al-Mu'mineen is focusing on something greater than you and I can perceive or can imagine or can fathom. Amir al-Mu'mineen knows that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam had a mission of propagation, a divine mission of bringing Islam to the people. And he knew that the task of Rasulullah was one of the most difficult tasks that he came to accomplish. And Amir al-Mu'mineen knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given a gift to Rasulullah in the personality of Ali ibn Abi Talib to be his assistant in his mission of the propagation of the divine message. Ali knew that after Rasulullah, he was the leader of the Muslim Ummah. He knew that the responsibility lay on his shoulders. He knew after him it was going to be Imam al-Hassan. And he knew after Imam al-Hassan it was going to be Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. He was aware of the huge responsibility that he had, and he was aware of the huge responsibility of the inheritor of the prophets, Hussein son of Ali ibn Abi Talib in Karbala. And so Ali ibn Abi Talib was very well focused on what he wanted and how he wanted it. Even when you look at the life of Imam Ali himself, he talks about the care Rasulullah took in raising him. And he mentions this in Nahjul Balagha. Imam Ali says regarding himself in Nahjul Balagha, he says, as far as the upbringing of mine is concerned, Rasulullah has taken special care. He says, وَلَقَدْ قَرَنَ اللَّهُ بِهِ مِنْ لَدُنْ. No, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمْ مَوْضِعِي مِنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ بِالْقَرَابَةِ الْقَرِيبَةِ وَالْمَنْزِلَةِ الْخَصِيصَةِ. Do you know of my status due to my close kinship with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam? Then he speaks about his upbringing. He says, وَضَعَنِي فِي حِجْرِهِ وَأَنَا وَلَدٌ. Rasulullah was taking special care of me. He used to place me on his lap. وَضَعَنِي فِي حِجْرِهِ وَأَنَا وَلَدٌ. وَيَضُمُّنِي إِلَى صَدْرِهِ. He used to hold me tight to his chest. وَيَكْنُفْنِي فِي فِرَاشِهِ وَيُمِسُّنِي جَسَدَهُ وَيُشِمُّنِي عَرْقَهُ. He used to make me smell the fragrance of nubuwwah. He used to keep me very close to himself. Then Amir al-Mu'mineen says, the care that Rasulullah took of me, وَلَقَدْ كَانَ يَمْضَعُ الشَّيْء. He used to take a morsel of food and then he used to eat it. ثُمَّ يُلْقِمُنِي. After chewing it, he used to give it to me morsel by morsel in my mouth. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen says, the result of what Rasulullah was doing was فَمَا وَجَدَنِي كَذْبَةً فِي الْقَوْلِ وَلَا خَطْلَةً فِي الْفِعْلِ. He did not find a word of lie from my mouth, nor did Rasulullah see any weakness in my character as a result of the special care that he gave me. So Rasulullah was preparing his wasi. Rasulullah was preparing his wazir. Rasulullah was preparing someone who was going to be his nasir in his mission of propagation. So Ali was aware that this is what Rasulullah is doing. Now Ali ibn Abi Talib is someone who wants and who knows the responsibility that lies on the shoulders of Imam Hussein alayhi salam as the inheritor of the prophets, as warithul anbiya. So he focuses on this, that just like Rasulullah needed the assistance of Ali ibn Abi Talib, Hussein will need the assistance in the completion of his mission of someone. And so he begins to prepare for it very well in advance. Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to his brother Aqil, and Aqil was a specialist and an expert in the genealogy. He was someone who had information about the tribes, who probably did genetic analysis, who probably understood or tried from various aspects of his expertise to see what tribes possess what qualities and what genes exist in them. And he used to therefore gather the information on kinship and pedigree. So Imam Ali alayhi salam knew that this was an expertise of his brother Aqil. He comes to Aqil, he tells him, "Oh Aqil, I want to marry a woman, and I'm looking for a woman from a tribe that has courage and bravery in them." Aqil takes a month in looking for the tribe that Amir al-Mu'mineen was looking for. He then reverts back to Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says to him, "Ya akhi, my brother Ali, ina anta an Fatima bint al-Hizam al-Kilabiyya." What is your opinion about Fatima, the daughter of Hizam al-Kilabiyya? And then he adds by saying, فَإِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنَ الْعَرَبِ أَشْجَعُ مِنْ آبَائِهَا. In all the Arab tribes, there is no tribe that is more courageous and brave than this particular tribe. Amir al-Mu'mineen takes his advice and he says that I wish to marry Fatima bint al-Hizam al-Kilabiyya. Amir al-Mu'mineen therefore asks his own brother Aqil to go to Hizam al-Kilabiyya and tell him that Ali ibn Abi Talib proposes to his daughter Fatima. History says when Aqil came to the house of Hizam, he brought the proposal. Who would refuse the proposal of Ali ibn Abi Talib? He was very happy to receive the proposal, and he then said to Aqil, allow me to go and consult with my wife and my daughter Fatima. As he entered, narrations say, as he entered the room or the chambers where Fatima Kilabiyya was sitting together with her mother, he found them having a discussion. And the discussion was that Fatima Kilabiyya had a dream and she was narrating her dream to her mother. She was saying to her mother, Mother, last night I saw the dream. So he did not disturb them and waited for the daughter to complete her conversation with her mother. She said, Oh, mother, last night I saw a dream. I was sitting by a tree. The sky was clear. It was a beautiful night. And I was dreaming that I am sitting by this tree and there are streams of water flowing beneath. And I saw in this clear sky, I saw a glowing moon, a shining moon. And I saw stars glowing around this particular moon. She says, suddenly in my dream, I see that the moon detaches itself from the sky and slowly comes and lands on my lap. And then soon after that, I see 4 stars following this moon and landing on my lap. And then she says, while this happened, فَعَجِبْتُ, I became extremely surprised at what was happening. And I was enjoying this particular dream. And I heard a voice of someone that I could not see but only hear. And this is what I heard. And then she says, I heard بشراك فاطمة بالسادة الغرر ثلاثة أنجم والزاهر القمر. She said, I heard this voice which said, glad tidings be to you, O Fatima, for the leaders of the good people. ثلاثة أنجم والزاهر القمر, 3 stars and a moon, referring to the moon and the star, 3 stars and the moon. أبوهم سيد في الخلق قاطبة. Their father, referring now to the moon and to the stars. Their father, he is Sayyidun fil khalqi qatiba. Their father is a leader of the best of the people. بعد الرسول قد جاء في الخبر. After Rasulullah, he is the best of the people. The father of Fatima Kilabiyya realized that this is a very significant dream, while at the same time Aqil has brought the proposal of Ali ibn Abi Talib for Fatima Kilabiyya. So he says to his wife, and he narrates the dream, and Fatima Kilabiyya's mother and father both realize that this is something extremely significant. So they both refer to Fatima and say to Fatima, this is a very special proposal for you. If you are, do you know the family? They are the Ahlul Bayt. They are the divine beings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. It is a great proposal that has come to you. O Fatima, if you will be able to fulfill this, then accept the proposal. If you will not be able to look after them or to do their khidmah, then it is up to you. Fatima Kilabiyya agrees. Obviously, she wanted to marry Ali ibn Abi Talib, and therefore she married Ali ibn Abi Talib. The proposal was accepted and the marriage took place. Immediately after the marriage taking place, and she gets married to Ali ibn Abi Talib, she tells him, I have one condition, just one condition. What is your condition, O Fatima? She says, my condition is that I want you to call me by my kunniyah and not by my name. It is still a custom in the Arabs that they prefer to be known by their kunniyah Abu Ali, Abu Fatima, or whatever the kunya is what is used. And so she said, this is one condition of mine, that I want you to call me by my kunya, which is Ummul Baneen. Call me by my kunya Ummul Baneen. Do not call me Fatima, for I do not wish to be called Fatima in the house of Fatima. I do not want Zainab and Kulthum and Hassan and Hussein to miss their mother when you call me Fatima. Now Ummul Baneen knows. Ummul Baneen is aware that this is Ali ibn Abi Talib and she is marrying Ali ibn Abi Talib. She knows that the dream was an extremely significant dream. This is where the name Qamar of Banu Hashim comes. The moon referred to Abbas and the 3 stars referred to his 3 brothers. So she knew there was something special that she was going into in this marriage with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Payam Azmi puts this very amazingly. He puts this and he depicts it in his poetry, Payam Azmi. He says, Ali ibn Abi Talib was worried about Hussein ibn Ali, and he kept on thinking on how he was going to be able to do this. So Payam Azmi puts this in poetry and he says, Lekin ye sochta tha dile sher kirdegar. Ali was always worried, always thinking, how will I do this? टकराएंगे हुसैन से जब अहले किरदगार, when the people come against Imam al-Hussein, जब होगा मेरे बाद ज़माने में खिलफिशार, when after me there will be chaos in the world, उस वक्त कौन होगा हिफाजत का जिम्मेदार? At that time, who will be there for the protection of Hussein? जो मंजिलत, this is how he puts it, जो मंजिलत नबी की वो सिबते नबी की है. Whatever the position of Rasulullah was, Ali, in terms of his nubuwah, the same position is that of imamat in the time of Hussein when he is the imam. जो मंजिलत नबी की वो सिबते नबी की है, यानी हुसैन को भी जरूरत अली की है. Even Hussein is going to be in need of Ali, just like Rasulullah was in need of Ali. Then Payam Azmi says, Utha jo dard dil to dua mangne lage. Imam Ali alayhi salam raised his hands and prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Haq se jalal karbo bala mangne lage. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the jalal of Karbala. Apni misal peshe khuda mangne lage. He asked for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him a son like himself. Ikba wafa pisar ki dua mangne lage. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a son who was going to be loyal. जब हो गई कबूल दुआ मुद्दा मिला, when the dua was accepted, मुश्किल कुशाए वक्त को मुश्किल कुशा मिला. The mushkil kusha of the time got his own mushkil kusha in Abbas. Abul Fadl Abbas was born out of the marriage of Ali ibn Abi Talib and al Baneen on the 4th of Sha'ban, 26 after Hijrah. His brother Abdullah, the second brother Abdullah, was born 10 years later in 36 after Hijrah. 2 years later, his younger brother was born, Uthman ibn Ali, in 38 after Hijrah. And then the youngest of the brothers of Hazrat Abbas, by the name of Ja'far, was born in 40 after Hijrah. The same year Amir al-Mu'mineen was martyred. He was named Abbas. And there are many meanings to Abbas. One of the meanings to Abbas is a lion. And when you look at some dictionaries, it will tell you, Al-Asadu alladhi yahrabu minhu al-usud, a lion from which other lions flee. That is what Abbas actually means. I will go very quickly, for I see the time is moving. So Abbas, that name was given by Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was a very good-looking child, an extremely handsome boy. That is why he is known as the Qamar of Banu Hashim. A house which has a radiant face of Ali al-Akbar. a house that has Qasim, a house that has Aun, a house that has Muhammad. In the entire house of Banu Hashim, Abbas is called the Qamar of Banu Hashim. That gives you an idea of how handsome he was, to the extent that Banin, when he was young, Banin used to be worried about what will happen to this child. And she used to worry about the evil eye against Abbas. They say she was a poet. Some say she wrote a taweez. Some say it is a prayer. And so this is from Banin. She made a taweez in which she wrote, U'idhuhu bil wahid. I seek refuge from the one for my son Abbas. Min kulli aynin hasid. From all the eyes that are envious. قائمهم والقاعد, whether someone who is jealous is standing or sitting, muslimuhum والجاهد, whether he is a Muslim or a non-Muslim. She was worried about Abbas and she wrote this taweez for Abbas. Abbas came. Payam Azmi says, Abbas आए रूह शुजाअत बने हुए. Abbas came as a soul of courage and bravery. जाने वफा वक़ार इताअत बने हुए. He came as a soul of loyalty and obedience. भाई के हक में पैकर नुसरत बने हुए. Abbas came as an assistant and a nasir to his brother. Madar ki shan, baap ki izzat bane hue. He came as the honor of his mother and the integrity of his father. माँ गोद में जो लेती थी उस नाज़नीन को, when Banin used to carry Abbas in her arms, Zahra salam करती थी Banin को. Zahra used to send salutations to Banin. गहवारे ही में जाहो जलालत थी आश्कार. When he was in the cradle, when he was in his cradle, you could see, Payam Azmi says in his poem, he says you could see the signs of courage and bravery while he was still in the cradle. हैबत से जिसकी था सफ़े बातिल में इंतिशार, अंगड़ाइयाँ जो लेता था झूले में बार बार. Angrai means when you are stretching and yawning. When you stretch, when a little child stretches, it's known as angrai when you stretch. He says, angraiya jo leta tha jhule mein bar bar. Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, when he was stretching with his fist closed, angraiya jo leta tha jhule mein bar bar, it was as if कहना ये था कि हूँ असद हक की यादगार. It is as if he was wanting to say that I am the remembrance of the lion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, referring to his father. Behre jihad तेरे दोदम चाहिए मुझे. His fists that were closed while it was stretching, it is as if, when Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam was born, when Amirul Mu'mineen came to see him for the first time, narrations say he looked at him, he named him, and then he took his two small little hands and he kissed them. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He kissed the hands of Abbas. So Payam Azmi says, Behre jihad तेरे दोदम चाहिए मुझे, कहती थी मुट्ठियां के अलम चाहिए मुझे. As if these small fists were saying, I am craving for alam to be in my hands. Our mothers, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our mothers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them jazai khair, what our mothers do for us. There is a poem in Arabic language which praises the mothers. I'll recite the first line of it. It says, لا عذب الله أمي إنها شربت حب الوصي وغذتنيه باللبن. May Allah never give adhab to my mother who has fed me with the love of Ali mixed in the milk that she gave. Banin, I'm sorry, I get very inspired by the poetry. Banin is raising Abbas. हैदर ने अपने शेर को लश्कर बना दिया. Imam Ali alayhi salam was focused on Abbas. हैदर ने, it is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he wants to gift back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. हैदर ने अपने शेर को लश्कर बना दिया. When he trained Abbas, He turned Abbas into an entire लश्कर. हैदर ने अपने शेर को लश्कर बना दिया. तूफान पिला पिला के समंदर बना दिया. He fed him with the storms to make him into an ocean. लोरी सुना सुना के अली की मुराद को जनाब उम्मुल बनीन sang lullabies of the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib and of the love of the Ahlul Bayt in the ears of Abbas. Lori suna suna ke Ali ki murad ko Ummul Baneen hu bahu Haidar bana diya. Ummul Baneen made him a second Haidar. She made him exactly the same as Imam Ali alayhi salam. In the Battle of Siffin, Imam Ali alayhi salam introduces Abbas. Now Abbas is 11 years old, or probably 12. In the Battle of Siffin, Abbas is 11 years old. And it is, in this Battle of Siffin, it is a debut battle for Abbas. For the first time, Abbas ibn Ali is going to face the army. By this time, Ali ibn Abi Talib has prepared him, and he brings him. One of the missions of Ali ibn Abi Talib for all of his sons was that he wanted his children to know that the status of Al-Hassan and Hussein in his children is different from the status of all other children. He was in his upbringing to his children, he was focused on telling his children that the position of Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein is different from all his children, even if he was their father. He wanted them to know the status of Ahlul Bayt. He wanted them to know that they may be the children of Ali ibn Abi Talib, but Al-Hassan and Hussein are different. So anyway, in the Battle of Siffin, he introduces Abbas for the first time. Abbas was asked by Amir al-Mu'mineen to enter the battlefield. Abbas, and I will go quickly through this, Abbas enters the battlefield wearing the clothes of his father, or Amir al-Mu'mineen asked him to put a mask or a veil on and face the army. Ali ibn Abi Talib is known to be a deadly and a very skilled warrior. He enters Abbas. His stature was such that he may have been 11 or 12 years old, but Abbas and the stature of Abbas was, he was a towering figure. He was someone who already was mature enough, and the physique of Abbas was that he was very tall. At the age of 11, Abbas ibn Ali enters the Battle of Siffin, and he displays the skills of war before the people of Muawiyah. Abbas killed many soldiers on the other side with his lightning swordship, to the extent that Abu al-Fadl Abbas confused the army of Muawiyah. But he eliminated so many of them to the extent that they became confused. At some point, Amir al-Mu'mineen also appeared in the battlefield, and it confused the army of who this was. At that point, Imam Ali alayhi salam reveals Abbas, and he says, "This is the Qamar of Banu Hashim, Abbas. This is my son, Abbas." That was his debut battle at 11 or 12 years old. Imam Ali wanted his sons to know. Abbas is in Siffin, Imam Hassan is in Siffin, Imam Hussein is in Siffin, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya is in Siffin, Amir al-Mu'mineen is in Siffin. Amir al-Mu'mineen wanted them to know that their position is different from the position of Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein. We have a riwayat which says that once in the Battle of Siffin, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam instructed his son Muhammad ibn Hanafiya. Muhammad ibn Hanafiya was also the son of Imam Ali alayhi salam, just like Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein and Abu al-Fadl Abbas. Muhammad ibn Hanafiya was instructed by Amir al-Mu'mineen to go to the battlefield and to fight against the army of Muawiyah. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to his son Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, "Go, my son, and attack the right flank of the army of Muawiyah. Obeying the commands of his father, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya goes and deals with the right flank of the army or the soldiers of Muawiyah, and then he comes back a little wounded. As he returns, he says, Ya Abatah, al-atash, al-atash. My father, thirst. I need some water. فَسَقَاهُ جُرْعَةٌ مِّنَ الْمَاءِ. Amir al-Mu'mineen gave him water to drink. He drinks some water. Amir al-Mu'mineen lets him rest for a while. After he has rested, Amir al-Mu'mineen then tells him, Oh my dear son Muhammad, now go back to the battlefield and now attack the left flank of the soldiers of Muawiyah. He obeys the command of his father. He goes back to the battlefield. He deals with the left flank of the soldiers of Muawiyah. And then he returns back wounded again, blood oozing out of his wounds. He returns back. This time he says, Al-ma, Al-ma, Baba, I need some water. فَسَقَاهُ جُرْعَةٌ مِّنَ الْمَاءِ. Amir al-Mu'mineen presents a cup of water before him. He drinks the water. And then he lets him rest for a while. When he has rested enough, Amir al-Mu'mineen sends Muhammad ibn Hanafiya back and he says to him, Now my son, go and attack the heart of the Lashkar of Muawiyah. Obeying his command, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya goes to the battlefield and then he returns back. When he returns back, ثُمَّ رَجَعَ إِلَىٰ أَبِيهِ وَهُوَ يَبْكِي. He returns back and tears were flowing from his eyes into his cheeks and he was crying. فَقَامَ إِلَيْهِ أَبُوهُ. Amir al-Mu'mineen stood up. وَقَبَّلَ مَا بَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ. And he kissed him on his forehead between his two eyes. وَقَالَ لَهُ. And Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, فِدَاكَ أَبُوكَ. May your father, Ali is saying this to Muhammad Hanafiya, may your father be sacrificed upon you, O Muhammad. فَقَدْ سَرَرْتَنِي وَاللَّهِ. Indeed, you have made your father very happy. فَقَدْ سَرَرْتَنِي وَاللَّهِ يَا بُنَيَّ بِجِهَادِكَ هَذَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْ. You have pleased me, my son, with your jihad that you have performed right before my eyes. But then he saw Muhammad ibn Hanafiya crying. So Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, فَمَا يُبْكِيكَ. My dear child, what makes you cry? Why are you crying? أَفَرَحًا أَمْ جَزَعًا. Is it emotion? Is it emotional because you are happy? Are these tears of happiness? Or is it something else? Listen to the response of Muhammad ibn Hanafiya. فَقَالَ يَا أَبَتِ. He says, my father, فَكَيْفَ لَا أَبْكِي. Why should I not cry? وَقَدْ عَرَضْتَنِي لِلْمَوْتِ ثَلَاثَ مَرَّاتٍ. You sent me in the mouth of death 3 times. فَسَلَّمَنِي اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved me. وَهَا أَنَا مَجْرُوحٌ كَمَا تَرَى. Look at me. Just like you are seeing, I am heavily wounded. Then he says to Imam Ali alayhi salam, Father, وَهَذَانِ أَخَوَايَ الْحَسَنِ وَالْحُسَيْنِ مَا تَأْمُرُهُمَا بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْحَرْبِ. I went 3 times and I saved myself from the mouth of death. And these 2 brothers of mine, Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein, you have not instructed them once to go to the battle in Siffin. Allahu Akbar. This was a question from Muhammad Hanafiya. وَقَالَ لَهُ. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Ya bunay, my son, anta ibni. My son, you are my son. وَهَذَانِ أَبْنَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. And these are the children of Rasulullah. You are my son. They are the sons of Rasulullah. Abbas is watching this. Abbas is there. أَفَلَا أَصُونَهُمَا عَنِ الْقَاتِلِ. Do you not expect me to protect them from the qatl? At that point, Amirul Mu'mineen makes it abundantly clear. O Muhammad Hanafiya, O Abbas, you may be my sons, but these are sons of Rasulullah. Their status is different. Your status is different. Muhammad Hanafiya responds by saying, Bala ya abatah. Of course, my father. Ja'alani Allahu fidaka wa fidahuma min kulli su. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make me, my life, may I sacrifice my life upon you, my father, and upon these two brothers, Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein. Even in the wasiyat, in the holy month of Ramadan, that Imam Ali alayhi salam, 40 after Hijrah, gave to Muhammad Hanafiya, he says to Muhammad Hanafiya, Usika bit-tawqiri akhawayk. I am giving you the wasiyat of tawqir, of respect and waqar of your two brothers, Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein. لِعَظِيمِ حَقِّهِمَا عَلَيْكَ, for the sake of the great right they have over you. So Imam Ali wanted to make it clear, and he was preparing Abbas for this. As Abbas grows up, and how he proved the dua of his father, the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted to Amir al-Mu'mineen, how he looked after this gift, and how this gift displayed everything that Imam Ali alayhi salam asked. His loyalty, his wafa, his loyalty, his bravery, his knowledge, his ilm. When the letter of immunity was offered to Abu al-Fadl Abbas in the battlefield of Karbala, when Shimr came and he offered a letter of immunity by saying that you are the sons of my sister, meaning from the same tribe, Kilabiyya tribe. And he says that I am offering you immunity, you and your brothers. I am offering you immunity. Leave Hussein. Don't die for the sake of Hussein. Allahu Akbar. Abu al-Fadl Abbas tears it apart. This letter of immunity, looks at him in the eye and says, La'anak Allah wa la'ana amanak. May Allah curse you, and may Allah curse this letter of immunity that you bring before me. And then he says, look at the loyalty of Abbas. And then he says, Atu'minuna wabna binti Rasulillahi la amana lah. You are offering immunity to us, and the daughter of Zahra has no aman, has no immunity. He tears it apart and he moves away. Remember, Abbas was not raised to be sacrificed in Karbala. Abbas was raised to assist Hussein in his mission to be the inheritor of Karbala, while Imam Hussein alayhi salam is the inheritor. He was supposed to assist for him to accomplish the task of being the inheritor of the prophets in Karbala. A poet in Urdu so beautifully puts it. He says, Safare, when he talks about Abbas and he talks about Akbar and he talks about Qasim, I'll just recite 2 lines or 3 lines of this. The poet says, Safare Sham likha aur qalam tod diya. He says, I sat down one day to write the poems, and I was searching for topics, and I wrote about the journey of the captives to Sham. Safar Sham likha aur qalam tod diya. I wrote about the journey of Sham, and then I broke my pen. Ghame sarkar likha aur qalam tod diya. I wrote the Masa'ib of Hussein, and I broke the pen. He says, Ek unwan liya, and then I sat down and thought of a topic that I should write about thirst. Ek unwan liya, pyas ka likhne ke liye. I thought about writing about thirst. Likh liya naam Sakina aur qalam tod diya. I just wrote the name Sakina and I broke the pen. एक उन्वान मिला मुझको जवानी पे लिखूं. He said, then I thought, let me write about जवानी, about youthhood. नाम अकबर का लिखा और कलम तोड़ दिया. I just wrote the name Akbar and I broke the pen. Then he says, सोचा उन्वाने वफा पर भी जरा गौर करूं. He says, I then thought, let me write about the loyalty. लफ्ज़ अब्बास लिखा और कलम तोड़ दिया. I wrote the name Abbas and I broke the pen. You want to see the loyalty of Abbas and the sabr of Abbas? He was being prepared by both al-Baneen and Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Abu al-Fadl Abbas, look at these stages of his life. Look at the sabr of Abbas. Look at the loyalty of Abbas. فَنِعْمَ الصَّابِرُ الْمُجَاهِدُ الْمُحَامِ النَّاصِرُ. Ziyarat of Hazrat Abu al-Fadl Abbas. The best of those who are doing sabr. فَنِعْمَ الصَّابِرُ الْمُجَاهِدُ المحامي الناصر والأخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه. Read the meanings of this ziyarat. When Hur, I just want you to imagine what Abbas is, what Ali has prepared in Abbas. He is a towering personality, a man who has special skills and abilities, a man from whom people run away out of fear of the courage of Abbas. But look at Abbas. Can you imagine? I'm just going to take you through this very quickly. Can you imagine what was the state of the heart of Abbas, who was the protector of Hussein? Can you imagine the state of Abbas when Hur held the reins of the steed or the horse of Imam al-Hussein? Can you imagine what happened to him? And you know how anybody else would have reacted? And Abbas looked around in rage. But Hussein told him, Abbas, calm down. Allah knows what went through the heart of Abbas at that time. With the courage that he had, with the bravery that he had, Hussein says to him, Abbas, sabr. He calmly sat down and he did not say anything. When the tents were being removed from Furat of the Ahlul Bayt, Abbas was enraged and he stood up and he said, who dare removes the tents of the Ahlul Bayt from near the Furat while Abbas is alive? Hussein saw the rage of Abbas. He did not say anything. He quickly went to the tent of Bibi Zainab and he said, Zainab, can you control Abbas? Janab Zainab called upon Abbas and said, Abbas, come here. Abbas came. Janab Zainab says, Abbas, calm down. Abbas kept quiet, obeying the commands of his Imam, obeying the commands of Aqazadi. When the letter of immunity was offered to Abbas, and he tore it, and he said, La'anak Allah wa la'ana amanak. Like he didn't say at that point, Imam alayhi salatu wassalam was watching, and he saw him tear the paper. And as he was returning, Imam Hussein alayhi salam maslahatan looked at Abbas and said to him, Abbas, what was it? Abbas said, Master, they brought a letter of immunity for us, for me and my brothers. Imam Hussein alayhi salam looked at Abbas and said, Abbas, what have you thought? Allahu Akbar, what a difficult question. By Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Abbas, what have you thought? Abbas did not respond anything. He just left from there, came behind the tent, took the sand of Karbala, placed it on his head, looked towards Najaf and said, Baba, what am I supposed to answer, Baba, to this question? Abu al-Fadl Abbas displays his loyalty to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, 21st of the holy month of Ramadan, 40 after Hijrah. Amir al-Mu'mineen is doing his wasiyat, one after the other. He places the hands of every member of the household in the hands of Hassan and says, Hassan, you are the Imam after me. Hassan, look after them. Hassan, look after them. Hussein, his hand is given to Imam al-Hassan's hand, and Zainab, and Kulthum, and everyone. But he leaves out Abbas. When Amir al-Mu'mineen is relaxing, there is a cry heard in his ears. He wakes up again and says, while Ali is alive, who is crying? They say, al-Baneen is crying. Ya al-Baneen, why do you cry? She says, my master, my Abbas has been left out. Thakirin say Imam alayhi salatu wassalam at that time called upon Abbas, and then he called Hussein, and then he placed the hand of Abbas in the hands of Hussein, or perhaps the hand of Hussein in the hand of Abbas, and he said, Abbas, no harm should reach my son Hussein as long as you are alive. I give you to Hussein. Hussein, I give Abbas to you. Azadaran Imam Hussein the Arbab Maqatil say that on the day of Ashura, when Abbas fell from his horse and Imam Hussein alayhi salam went to see Abbas, they say that Imam Hussein found the flag and alam of Abbas first. Then he saw the severed arms of Abbas. My heart says, perhaps Imam Hussein took those arms, looked towards Najaf, and say, Baba, these are the arms that you had left with me. Azadaran Imam Hussein, day of Ashura arrives. It is a day of Ashura. Ali Akbar went, Qasim went, Aoun went, Muhammad went, Habib went, Hur went, Muslim ibn Awsaja went, Burair went. There was no one left. Hussein was sitting in the hot sands of Karbala. Hussein was sitting while his head was bowed down. Suddenly, slowly, Abu al-Fadl Abbas comes and sits next to him. And he says, my master, I seek your permission for jihad. Hussein remains silent. He did not respond to Abbas. Abbas goes away, and then he comes back after a while. And then he says to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, my master, oh my Mawla, allow me to go for jihad. Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, Abbas, Abbas, how do I let you go? You are the commander of my lashkar. At which point, very quietly, Abbas says to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, oh my master, which army are you talking about? It is only you and me that is left here. My master, allow me to go and show these people that I am the son of Haydar-e-Karrar. Imam Hussein and Abbas sit together. They both cry. And then Imam Hussein says, Abbas, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you go and fetch some water for the children? For Sakina is thirsty. We have no water for the last 3 days. Sakina and the children are thirsty. The haram is thirsty. Abbas, why don't you prepare to go and get some water? Abu al-Fadl Abbas listens to the command without question, does not insist on jihad anymore. He listens to the command of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And then he says, Imam Hussein says, Abbas, go and seek permission from Zainab. Go and seek permission from Zainab and tell her that you are leaving. Abbas comes very calmly and enters the tent of Janab Zainab. As he enters the tent of Janab Zainab, his head is bowed down. Aqa Zadi, I have come to seek permission. I have been commanded to go and get water. Zainab says, Abbas, look into my eye. Abbas is reluctant to look into the eyes of Aqa Zadi. She says, Abbas, look into my eye. Abbas doesn't look into her eye. She insists, Abbas, look into my eye. Abbas lifts his head and looks at Janab, glances at Janab Zainab. Janab Zainab says, Abbas, is it true that the time has come? Abbas says, I don't know what you mean. Oh, I don't know what you mean, Aqazadi. What do you mean by this? She said, on the 21st of Ramadan, when our father was leaving this world, he said to me, Zainab, one of the wasiyat he said to me, and he said to me, Zainab, there shall come a time when the ashqiya will tie ropes on your hands and drag you on the streets of Kufa. I used to say I could not understand my father, but Abbas, I understand him now. Abbas, I used to think that a sister who has a brother like Abbas, how is it possible for someone to even look at her eyes? Abbas, but now that you are seeking permission, Abbas, I have no doubt that my hands will be tied with the rope. Abbas seeks permission from Janab Zainab. He then looks at Sakina and says to her, Sakina, I am going to fetch some water for you, Sakina. Sakina, give me your water skin, Sakina. I will fetch some water for you. Abbas takes the water skin and he heads and bids farewell to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And he goes towards the Maqtal Azadaran Imam Hussein. He charges towards the Frat like a loose lion. As he goes there, the ashqiya that were posted there to look after the Furat, look at Abbas approaching, and they flee from here and there saying, Al-Aman, Al-Aman. They are running away seeing Abbas coming. Abbas comes and he arrives at the Furat. When he arrives at the Furat, he takes his steed and his horse right in the middle of the Furat, and then he looks at them. No one dare comes anywhere near Abbas. He calms down. He takes his water skin. He puts water in the water skin. He fills it up and then he places it on his arm, and then he takes some water and cups some water in his hands and looks at it. He takes some water and looks at this water. Suddenly he throws this water away. Perhaps Imam Hussein alayhi salam saw the face of Sakina thirsty. Perhaps Abbas saw the face of Sakina thirsty. Perhaps Abbas realized my master is thirsty for 3 days. He throws the water. He takes the water skin, places it on his shoulders, takes his alam, and he leaves the Furat and gallops towards the tent. As he moves towards the tent, Umar ibn Sa'd says, if a drop of water reaches the tents of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, this battle will be lost once and for all. Make sure that Abbas does not arrive anywhere near the tent with the water. Abbas has one dua in his lips. Ya Allah, get this water to the tents. Ilahi, get this water to Sakina. Ilahi, I have promised Sakina. I need this water to get there. As Abbas is galloping towards there, nobody comes anywhere near him. Umar ibn Sa'd says, now it is time that you attack him from all 4 sides. They hide from every side. They go behind the sand dunes. Some go behind the tree. Abbas, as he is galloping, they say an ashqiya that was hiding behind the sand dunes comes out and strikes at Abbas and severs his right arm. Abbas grabs the mashkiza and places it on his left arm. As he moves towards the tent, he is praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the water to reach the tent. As he moves forward, another shaqi maloon comes and severs his left hand. Abbas now takes the mashkiza and puts it between his teeth, and he is praying to Allah for the water to reach the tents of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Abbas is galloping. Hurmula takes an arrow and puts it in his bow, and Hurmula releases the arrow. As he releases the The arrow leaves the bow of Hurmula and comes and hits the chest of Abbas, tearing the mashkiza that Abbas was carrying. Water starts flowing. Abbas loses hope. Suddenly, Abbas now turns his horse. He doesn't go towards the tent anymore. He returns back towards the Frat. He doesn't know what to do. Abbas is returning back towards the Frat. He's no more going towards the tent. Perhaps he is ashamed that he is not able to take the water. He returns. They say, the Arbab Maqatil say that there was a man who approached Abbas from behind. He had a metal rod in his hands. He struck at Abbas. Abbas fell from his horse. Abbas fell from his horse and he cried, "Oh Abba Abdullah, come to my assistance. Oh Abba Abdullah, come to my assistance." Abbas lay on the floor. Hussein left the tents. Hussein rushed from the tents. When they saw Hussein approaching, all the cowardly people disappeared from there. Hussein alayhi salam approached. As he reached where Abbas lay, Hussein saw something that hurt his heart. He saw his brother Abbas in the state in which he was. He came there. When he reached there, he heard Abbas saying something. When he put his ears closed, he heard Abbas saying, "Oh man who has approached me, spare my life. For since I was born, I have seen the face of Hussein. From the day I opened my eyes, I have seen the face of Hussein. I do not wish to die before seeing the face of my master." Hussein ibn Ali said, "Abbas, it is me, Hussein, that is with you. Abbas, it is I that has come here." Abbas is happy that Imam Hussein is there. Abbas then says to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, "My Mawla, my master, since I was born, I have seen your face, my master. Now that I am dying, my master, I have this desire, an intense desire to see your illuminated face, my master." Imam al-Hussein sees Abbas. There is an arrow in one eye. The second eye has blood in it. Imam takes a piece of cloth, wipes the blood from the eyes of Abbas. Abbas opens his eyes, looks at Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Farah and happiness. He cannot contain his happiness that he is able to see Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam. Azadaran Imam Hussein. Then he says to Imam al-Hussein, "My master, I have one wasiyah. I have one wasiyah, my master. Please fulfill this wasiyah of mine." He says, "What is your wasiyah?" At that point, Abbas moves his head away from the lap of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam takes his head and places it back on his lap. He removes his head again. Imam places it back on his lap. He removes his head again. Imam places it on his head. He removes it again. Imam says to him, "Abbas, what is the matter with you? I keep your head on my lap and you keep moving your head away." Abbas says, "My master, every shaheed who lost his life, you place their head on your laps and you are placing mine on your lap. My master, when you will fall from your horse, my master who will be there to keep your head on their lap, I will say, Abbas, Zahra has left Baqi. The mother of Hussein will be there to do this." Azadan Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Abbas says to his master, "My master, I have a final wish. I have a final wasiyat, my master." Hussein ibn Ali says, "Abbas, tell me, what is your final wish?" He says, "My master, please do not take my body back to the tent. Please do not take my body back to the tent." "Why, Abbas? Why? I am ashamed of Sakina. I promised to bring water to Sakina. My master, don't take my body back to the tent." Or perhaps Abbas did not want Hussein to carry his body. So he says, "Do not take my body." Hussein looks at Abbas and he cries. And he cries looking at Abbas. At that point, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam says to Abu al-Fadl Abbas, "Oh Abu al-Fadl Abbas, I have one request as well. Will you fulfill this request of mine?" Abbas says, "My master, has it ever been that I have not fulfilled your request?" He says, "Then I have one request from you, Abbas." "What is your request, my master?" "I request that you call me brother. Ever since you were born until this time, you have referred to me as master. Call me brother once." Abbas takes a deep sigh and then says, "Oh my brother, Ya Akhi." And Abbas breathes his last. Azadaran Imam Hussein. Hussein sits there for a while, looks at Abbas for a while, cries, and then Maqtal says, "Faqam al-Hussein." Hussein stood up. فَنَظَرَ إِلَى يَمِينِهِ وَإِلَى شِمَالِهِ. Then he looked towards the east, and then he looked towards the west. He looked towards his right. He looked towards his left. فَبَكَى بُكَاءً شَدِيدًا. And then he cried. He cried very much. And then he held his back, and he said, "Wallah al-an inkasara dhahri." Abbas, Hussein's back is broken, Abbas. Abbas, Hussein's back is broken, Abbas. Abbas, your death has broken the back of Hussein. Azadaran Imam Hussein. Hussein takes the alam and very slowly moves towards the tent. Sakina sees the alam from afar. Hussein approaches slowly with the alam in his hands. Very slowly he comes towards the tent. Sakina sees the alam from far. She calls upon the children and says, "Oh children, my uncle Abbas is coming. Come with the pitchers that you have. Let us have some water after 3 days." My uncle Abbas is bringing water. As Hussein approaches closer and closer, Sakina sees that Abbas is not with him. She throws the pitcher on the ground. She rushes towards Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. She throws herself on the feet of Imam alayhi salam and says, "Baba, where is Ammu, Baba? Baba, where is my Ammu, Baba? Baba, my Ammu, I miss my Ammu, Baba. What happened to my Ammu? He went to bring water, Baba." Hussein doesn't say anything. She turns towards Zainab and says, "Aunt Zainab, Ya my auntie Zainab, tell me what happened to my uncle Abbas." Janab Zainab remains silent. She doesn't say anything. She looks at Hussein again and says, "Baba, tell me, where is my uncle Abbas?" Hussein says, "Sakina, Abbas will never come back. Sakina, Abbas will never come back." At that point, Sakina says, "Abbas ya Mujana." My uncle Abbas, man abnami khab. I am not going to ask for water anymore. I do not want the water anymore, my uncle, my ammu, come back to me. In the ladies, there was and buka. Wa Abbasa, wa Abbasa, wa Abbas. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون